But I'm a Cowboy fan. D's a 49er fan. But we're going to cover a lot of football, and he's also a Brooklyn Nets fan. Being from Brooklyn, of course, and everything. I'm not a Brooklyn Nets fan. I'm not any New York fan of any kind except the Yankees. But, that's either here nor there. But, we're going to talk about everything. So throughout the course of the seasons of basketball and football, Don and I are going to get it in, man. It's going to be all good. So keep it locked with us, for real. It's going to get better and better each week, for real.
Absolutely. And if you like the show, we ask you to like and subscribe. Please share. That helps the channel greatly.
Yes.
Let's get into it.
Let's go.
It's week 7 already. Can you believe it?
Already.
It's flying by.
Not
only is it week 7 in the NFL, NBA season has started. Also, we'll touch on the MLB. There's so many things. This is a sports fanatics. I don't know. It's the best time to be into sports. I love it.
Definitely.
And let's start with the NFL. This is a very exciting time to be a San Francisco 49ers fan. The trade that shook the world. I woke up this morning to find out that we got CMC. And I think I was really shocked. And believe it or not, locally, there is everyone is not thrilled with it because of the fact that, they think that the 49ers gave up too much for him. They gave up a decent amount of picks, a lot for a running back who has issues with injuries. And the fact that they gave up so much for Trey Lance, he's injured. And plus the Shanahan history with running backs. I mean, we get good running backs, but for whatever reason in that system, whether it's because it's, so intricate, they can't seem to stay healthy. But I think that this is a fantastic trade. Not because he's just not only because he's such a dynamic running back, but I think from a scheme standpoint, CMC and Debo and Kittle, forget about it. It is going to be something special. I cannot wait for, once he gets fully acclimated, what they're going to do offensively. It's going to be very exciting. What do you think?
I agree with you. I texted you last night and we talked about it a little bit. And I said, man, at first I was a little concerned. I said, man, I don't know if this trade would work, and I gave it some more thought, D, and you're right. I think this is a good trade for you guys. When you look at it from the fiscal aspect of it, he's really, I think he's only getting about $1 million this year. His real money doesn't kick in till next year. But according to reports, with the $11 million he gets and another $12 million because he signed up, and I think they're up until 2025. A lot of his guaranteed money will come through, but there's no real impact to your salary cap. Should the Niners decide to let him go, if they decide to cut him in another year or two, it won't impact you guys so much. So from that aspect, that obviously was thought through, considering his contract. And the thing is that bringing him in, like you said, with all the weapons, right? With Kyle Shanahan being a guru, he's a wizard with the offensive mindset, and he is going to put CMC in some very auspicious positions, man, to really go. So with Debo, IU, Kittle, and the thing is this, and you said this last night in your text, once your team gets healthy, right, you guys got a lot of Trenton's out, arguably the best left tackle in the game today. Once he gets back, you get your defensive guys back, which y'all are still playing good defense, remarkably so. So you got to give your DC a lot of credit there for keeping the troops together in spite of injury. Once you guys get a full complementary of players back, it's going to be really good. So I think the CMC trade is good. But I'm going to tell you, who really, 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 really loses out on this. And I think if you're the 49ers, you got to be able to man the ship until your other good players get back. And you got to win in your division. You got to beat the Seahawks. You got to beat the Rams. But the Rams are the team. They wanted that dude. They wanted McCaffrey. They could taste it. They wanted him. They
Right.
need a run game bad. And if
Very bad.
anything, the Niners said, look, man, we're going to dump everything out there. We're going to give up these picks. I mean, a second, a third, a fourth this year, a fifth next year. And from what I understand, too, there was some compensatory picks from the coaches, from Salah,
Right.
from McDaniel. So they was able to add that into the pot there and put that out there to get that. And I listen, I think it's a good deal. You got to win now. Your team is built now. Outside of your quarterback issues, you still think you got enough with Garoppolo to still get into the Super Bowl at least. And again, you win your division. And then once you get in the playoffs, listen, anything can happen at that point. But yeah, man, kudos. I'm a little jealous. I ain't gonna front. As a Cowboy fan, we don't do things like this. We never splash like this. You know what I'm saying? So, we believe in our ingrown guys and we build through the draft. So, but that's a whole other topic.
And you know what else is really exciting? People are talking about his injury history. You're going from the 28th ranked offensive line to a top 10 offensive line. That's a huge, and all of the offensive responsibility is not on one player. Like he can be schemed in so that it's not all. I mean, let's face it. When he was with Charlotte, he was everything. They had okay receivers, but he was, the main ticket. You're coming to a stacked offensive team with a great offensive minded coach that's able to get you in. I mean, you don't have to have, 100 catches and carry the ball 300 times. You don't have to, you're not required to do that anymore. It's going to force teams to be honest because, at any point, we still got a stable of good running backs. So it's not like we're going to bleed him out. We want him to be fresh. We want him to get acclimated, but this also takes away the wear and tear on Debo because he can start. It can be just an occasional scheme where we have him in the backfield. We don't have to have him for his longevity. We don't have to have him, pretty much playing two positions. He's a running back half the time, a wide receiver half the time. So everyone is getting into their true position. And I think it will make the team, and it's going to give defensive coordinators heartburn because it's going to get real serious. It's not going to be immediate, although Kansas City is on upset alert this week. Be advised, they are on upset alert this week, okay? Because our offense, I think, and this was even before we got him, I felt this way. I felt strongly about it because Jimmy G is a hot and cold type of person. One game you'll scratch your head like, yo, why'd you do that? And then the next week, he looks like a younger, more handsome version of Tom Brady. He makes all the right plays. He throws, his poise, all of that stuff in the pocket. It's like, okay, he did rub off on you somewhat. So I think it's going to be an exciting game. And, we'll see where it goes. But I think offensively moving forward, I got texts from some Raider fans last night. Right before I'm trying to go to bed, they texted me, oh, this is another bad move by Shanahan, and they're on the hot seat. And I'm like, how do you figure? Worry about the Raiders, get the Raiders straight, because y'all made a big splash acquisition. And what did that get you so far? They're supposed to be bosom buddies and connected at the hip, and they almost died together when they went. Okay, where's that connection? Work on that connection, and then you don't have to worry about the Niners. And so that Raiders fan who's probably watching will know who I'm talking about. I don't want to shout him out, but he texts me later. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to go to bed. What do you want? And he's texting me with the Raider hate or the Niners hate as a Raider fan.
Rather. Yeah,
but it's all good. It's all good. I got
a good feeling who you're referring to, but yeah, the Faders got a lot of issues of their own for sure.
Oh, so you know what? It's not even that. It's not even him. It's a local Raider hater.
Oh, local Raider hater.
Yeah, we're not talking about the ATL Raider hater.
Yeah.
The hating fan that's hating because Raiders ain't measuring up. But
Raiders definitely not. Yep.
That should be a good game.
Listen, man, Who you got? Who you taking in that game, man?
Well, I would like, all right, so the Chiefs are about to go on a bye week 8. And I like the Niners.
Uh-huh.
I would say that the Niners kind of, I think they'll win. I don't know what the spread is. I have to check and see exactly what I'm sure Kansas City is favored. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 2.5. Kansas City
Right.
is favored by 2.5. They have to come, to the Bay. So that is interesting that the spread based off of the last week, because typically they kind of make determinations based off of how a team is playing. We got our heads cracked and we couldn't get anything going in Atlanta last week. The Chiefs look pretty good. So why would they only be a 2.5-point favorite? The Chiefs, traveling to Arrowhead or traveling from Kansas City to the Bay, that's not enough for it to just be 3 points. So I think that Vegas is begging you to take the Chiefs -2.5. That would be a mistake. Trust and believe. Niners with the points. That is the way to go. That's my opinion. We'll see if I'm wrong. So far, these guesses or bets have not measured or worked out, but we'll see. This week, I feel pretty confident in it. What do you think?
I think honestly, I'm going to go with KC on this one. I think they need this win. Coming off the bad loss there to Buffalo, they got, as you stated, they got a bye coming up. And the worst thing in the world is to lose right before a bye, right? To take that into a bye is an L. That's the worst thing. I do think Kansas City will pull this game out, but it won't be easy because I think just having CMC alone, though there was some speculation he might even play at a couple of plays this Sunday, but I don't know, if that would actually happen or not. But just him being there, I think is going to inspire the offense. It's going to just lift everybody up. In fact, I think it's got Shanahan right now in the lab mixing chemicals, and he's already putting potions and all kind of crazy stuff together. He's got his full chemist outfit on right now, and coming up with all these crazy routes and plays and schemes. And so I think it's going to be tough. Kansas City defense still is not, it's not impressively great. I mean, it's a good defense. They have improved in the past couple of weeks. I did think they did a good job against Buffalo last week for all intents and purposes. But at the end of the day, I do think that Mahomes, again, and I still say he's the best quarterback in the league right now. I still think he gets a depleted defense. I think you guys will play well. And so I would even go forth and I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to pick a score. And I'm going to go with the score 30 to 21. 30 to 21. I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs on this one. 30 to 21. Yeah. Okay. I think it's gonna be, but that's, but I could be wrong. I am 2-0 so far in my predictions though.
You are. So hey, listen, I'm in no position to challenge you on your picks. So far, you've been spot on.
Yeah, so far. We'll see. A lot of season left though, and remember we're only doing 2 games. It's not like we probably should at some point, right? I think, not that we would go through every game, but just kind of, pick a team for each week, each game, and then just throw our score out there, see how we did, how we fared on Monday's show.
Yeah, that would be good.
The teams. Yeah,
that'd be good.
So
I think we should do that.
Yeah.
Well, now let's segue into your. Well, no, before we do that, because I know you like to savor the excitement and anticipation of Dak coming back. Let's talk about Tua, who sustained what appeared to be, and what we can confirm.
Right.
This had to be 3 Sundays ago?
It's about 3 Sundays ago. Yeah. You're talking about the first hit, right? The first hit,
right?
The first hit. Yeah.
The first hit. He's sustained what they said was a back injury, but back injuries typically don't make your knees buckle. So
Or grab your head.
Or grab your right. That was just, a knee-jerk reaction. So
Right.
as a result of this, because they then had a Thursday game where they confirmed that he suffered a concussion and he's been out, but he looks like he's scheduled to start this Sunday, which should be pretty exciting. I'm sure the team is going to welcome him back. I'm sure Jalen Waddle and Tyreek, who really I can throw to Tyreek and he's still going to be open. He's still he's one of those players that just gets his numbers. But I think it's going to be pretty interesting that hopefully, knock on wood, because while he was hurt and out, they were talking about that he could retire, because it's just like anything else.
I heard that.
We know so much more about concussions, and concussions in itself is bad, but also how often and what's the time frame between concussions. And for him, if we can say that he got two concussions, 4 days apart, that's a big deal. I mean, look at Cameron Brate I think at some point he's going to have to call it a career. I mean, Cameron Brate for Tampa Bay, I mean, he had a concussion, came back, cleared, got another concussion. So I think at some point players you want to be able to enjoy your life post-football career.
Sure.
I mean, absolutely. I know people have worked their whole life and has dedicated their lives to being and playing at a high level, but you do have to, health is wealth. You have to value, your post-career and be able to, function outside of that.
I agree. And I think a lot of these players today, they just can't see past their nose. They prepared their whole lives, right, to get to the NFL. You play through Pop Warner and, you play, all kinds of little leagues or Pop Warner. And then you get to, junior high school, you get the scholarship to college, you get drafted. And, it's only but a handful that actually get to that level of play when you get to play the greatest players in the world. And so these guys don't see anything past 35 or 40 years old. And it's unfortunate. You're right. They don't think about their health, and that's something that they really need to think about. I think what they probably should do is start looking at, and I'm not sure exactly how their contracts are structured, but looking at these contracts in a way where you can get some type of insurance, or they pull out separate insurance, which I'm sure some of them do. I know some college players did it. I think Jadeveon Clowney actually did it when he was in college. He had like a $5 million policy or something. So shit, he got hurt in college or something. At least if he didn't make the NFL, he's got $5 million at least, So, something to that effect based on projecting what his worth would be, should he get to the NFL or something like that. But with Tua, I think, from the game side, it's a good thing. I think the Dolphins clearly need him back. They was clearly on a roll. He had a lot of rhythm. They definitely got to make sure they protect him because to your point, D, if he gets another concussion, and they say it's not the first concussion, it's the ones that come after. Those are the ones that are a little bit more, deleterious than the first one. And I think that's the issue he's going to have to certainly be concerned with as everybody, because I did hear reports that they talked about retirement and stuff like that. But on a positive note, we hope that he plays, he stays healthy. And I'm sure for the Dolphin fans out there, they want to see him come back and get back into rhythm. I'm sure the receivers want to see him back out there. So, I think it'd be good to see Tua back. I have to say he exceeded expectations. I don't think anybody really expected to play as well as he has, up until the injury.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, well, while we're talking about comebacks, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about your man Dak.
I'll let
you start.
You know what? I need to produce to the like. Don't call it a comeback. He's been here for years. You know what I'm saying? My boy Dak. You know what I mean? We're going to get a little intro going there with Mr. Dak. But, man, let me tell you something. No, but I'm going to be honest with you. Listen. It's good to see Dak back. We do need Dak back for offensive purposes. We're like in the bottom, like 27th, 28th in passes and yards per game. And attempts, scoring, like we are really not a great offensive team. Even running the ball, I mean, we look well, right? It feels like we're running the ball well, which we are, but we're still like in the bottom 5 of the league when it comes to running. So the Cowboys, it's clearly the defense. And so Dak, what you hope is this, D, you hope that Dak is not rusty. He didn't look good in the Tampa Bay game, first game of the season. He looked very rusty. He was completely off, inaccurate, as the folks in Dallas would like to say sometimes, and he really didn't look good. And Dak is actually 0-3 coming off major injuries. Last year against the Buccaneers, he actually played great in that game. And we lost that game by 2 points, but it was no fault of Dak. But then after the Achilles issue he had in the last throw touchdown against the Patriots of last year, and then he comes back against the Broncos and gets, obliterated in that game. The Broncos defense just totally annihilated us. And then, of course, again, he's got the situation coming in with this year now. So we got to see what it looks like. We got to see what Dak is going to look like. I would rather wait it for at least 2 weeks of solid practice, to really see, because he didn't get cleared until like Tuesday. So, he really gets into full practice come, on Wednesday and Thursday today. But I really would have wanted to see him. And he said, he didn't have him on a pitch count yesterday. He said he threw he said he threw 140 balls. Of course, he was only exaggerating, of course. But, I think with Dak, it's good for the Cowboys to get him back, though. We just got to make sure he's got some rhythm. He's got chemistry. And, against this Lions defense, he's expected to have some success. Although they do have a really good safety back there, and the rookie, Rodriguez, the linebacker, as bad as they are defensively, they still got a couple key guys back there. But this is a good opportunity for Dak if he is sharp, if he's throwing with some zip. But that was the thing that Cooper Rush did not have. Cooper did an admirable job. We appreciate Coop. Great job. And we did not expect us to have a 4-2 record by the time Dak got back. So it was a good thing that he did, but he can't make throws in the flat, can't make sideline throws. He lobs the ball. He has no zip, but he's done admirable. He'll give you about maybe 2 to 3 good throws per game. But Dak, we got to see Dak of the first half of last year in the season. That's the Dak in overall last year, 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 4,400 yards. If we could get that Dak back there, D, and at least look good enough and keep running the ball, keep some of the formula that you had with Coop when the Cowboys played, which is a little more conservative, but you still got to let Dak rip. It's a $40 million quarterback. You can't have him dinking and dunking all day. So I'm hoping that, he looks a little more crisp than he did in game 1 of the season against the Buccaneers.
I should hope so. Hopefully everything, will align. He'll be, there's going to be some rust, realistically speaking, there's going to be some rust. So it may take a few weeks to get back to, the form that that you want Dak, that 4,400 yard Dak. But with that being said, you do want him to come back against a team like the Lions. You don't want him to come back to, a tougher defense that is really going to test him. He still give him a few weeks to build some chemistry, because even when Dak was healthy, he doesn't really have a lot of chemistry with your quote unquote number 1 receiver. It doesn't really seem like they have great chemistry. You think they do?
Well, I think he doesn't have complete chemistry there, because, again, just didn't have enough time to really get into the flows of the games because he hadn't played. I think Dalton Schultz, he's got chemistry with from last year, and Gallup is back. But again, it's really hard to determine because he just hasn't played in a real game situation, and that's the only way we're going to really know. The thing that made Cooper somewhat successful, because he had chemistry with Noah Brown, who was a backup, and he played with the second team a lot. So Coops had a lot of reps with Noah. So he relied on those guys he practiced with. And so, Dak has got to definitely – and that's, again, to your point. I'm just concerned about the chemistry, the zip, being in the right spot, putting the ball in the right place, getting these guys where they need to be. And so we'll see. He's got formula with CD, of course, but we still got to see. I'm just not totally bought all the way in. I would have rather seen Dak come back maybe against the Bears, if not, then after the bye.
Okay.
That would have been my thing. Yeah, I would have still went with Coop. I would only because I still think Dak needs some real practice under his belt. 4 or 5 days of practice is not enough, and I don't think that's enough. So, and guess what? Your boy. I say this last piece here on this. The Lions with Dan Campbell, who's this smash mouth guy. He actually was a former tight end with the Cowboys. I think we're the ones that actually drafted him. But they coming for that thumb. They're gonna check that
Oh
thumb
yeah,
out. Yeah. Yeah, so
exactly.
we're gonna see if it's a thumbs up, thumbs down, but they coming for that thumb. So we'll see.
Absolutely,
Ain't no red
absolutely.
shirt there. Yeah, so
I
that's
mean,
what's
if
up.
if if they were smart, that's what they would do. I mean, we
Right,
know it's not career ending, but if
right.
you hit that, if you get to that thumb, I mean, hey, Cooper Rush would start. That's the quickest way to get
Start
Cooper
warming
Rush
up.
right back into the game.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
so okay, well, the greatest thing
Mm-hmm.
is that now that we've talked enough about football, let's get
Yep.
into the NBA. Since our
NBA.
since we
Yes,
last spoke, the
yes.
NBA has started. I don't know why you're
Yes.
clapping. You're a Lakers fan. So
I'm
there
a
should be
Lakers
no
fan,
clap.
and I shouldn't be.
Or you just clapping because it's the NBA.
I'm clapping only because it's the NBA.
Okay,
That's
because
it. Right.
there's nothing to clap about as it pertains to the Lakers.
You should be clapping. You're a
But
Lakers fan. Right.
that so let's discuss that. Let's talk
Yep.
about the opening night.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
Lakers. What can be done with the Lakers? I mean, there are LeBron is going to be LeBron, and we're going to get on last night's game where they played the
Yeah.
Clippers,
Yep.
and
Yep.
AD. I'm sure everybody's looking. AD took a hard fall trying to block Kawhi's shot. I don't think it was a dirty play by Kawhi. I thought it was a
Nah.
basketball move.
Nah.
But
I wasn't. Nah,
AD
that's
is
not
made
why.
of popsicle sticks. So at any point,
Right.
I mean, it's like
Listen.
health will derail any chances. I mean, if you have a team that has 2 of the top 10 players in the league, you should be it's
You
not a
should be.
guarantee that you're going to win it all, but
No.
certainly you should be in position
Right.
to really compete. And I really
Right.
don't see it. I mean, LeBron kind of threw his team under the bus, but he stated the facts. We're not
Yeah. It's
we don't have
very
good
true.
shooters. I mean,
No.
that is the fact, and I don't really know what Jeannie or Rob Pelinka can really do about it because the way the contract is structured. I mean, the Russell Westbrook played really good defense yesterday. I
He
mean,
had
he
a
only
moment.
scored
He
0
had a
points.
moment.
He was
Yeah.
0
Mm-hmm.
for 11.
Yeah.
But the issue that you guys have is lack of shooting and AD's health. Because and of course Westbrook, I mean, they're not going to cut him and pay him $47 million to stay home. Some people have suggested that, but I think it just matters. Ultimately, what they're going to have to do is figure it out, and maybe before the trade deadline, try to get some shooters for cheap. That's willing to take whatever the Lakers have, just to be on a championship contending team. If they're that, at that point by the trade deadline, they could very well be out of it. I mean, that would be very sad for you guys, all the Laker fans, but it's possible. If AD, hopefully, I mean, he was, they had all kind of ice packs and everybody was around his hind parts yesterday after the fall, trying to get him back up. But he was like a statue, and I mean, they should have really, got him out of the game. But I mean, it was close enough that he stayed, so they didn't know. I mean, he still provided something, but I mean, his health is going to either make or break the Lakers. And I'll give it to you.
I think you're right. I think right now with AD, with all the pressure that's on him to stay healthy, unless his arms and legs are completely sawed off, he's going to have to play. He's going to have to play regardless of what injury he's in to that degree. Trust me, if this was 2 years ago, AD would have stayed off the court after that fall. No question about it. But he understands what's at stake, and he understands that the Lakers, any measure of success for them to have, AD has got to stay healthy. I don't think they're running the offense through him enough, though, in the latter parts of the game. I think last night was an opportunity. AD didn't really touch the ball much in the fourth quarter. You got guys shooting the ball like as if they're in practice. It's just an open gym and just taking shots. And clearly, because to LeBron's point, as we already know, they're just going to give the Lakers those open shots. We are 19 of 84, 19 of 84 and shooting three-pointers, Don. Like, this is it's despicable. This is like utter embarrassment. And we keep shooting. And last night, I think we were 1 for 26 or 24. Just the backcourt alone. None was 0 of 6. You know, what's his name? What's that?
Patrick Beverly?
Beverly was 1 of 7.
Oh,
and then
God.
you got Russ, who was 0 of 11. So we were 1 of 26 from the backcourt alone. Okay. You know, and then you even though I think Walker hit 26 points, but he even took more shots than had more attempts than both AD and LeBron. The only way this team is going to see any kind of improvement, okay, I'll say that, is they got to be willing to move away from 27th and the 29th first-round picks. That's the picks, supposedly, that the Pacers are looking for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. That's the only shot you got. I don't even think those guys are going to make a world of a difference, but they at least can spread the floor somewhat, particularly Buddy Hield, who can shoot threes. And I think that's the thing. Mm-hmm. But this team has no shooting. Now, the defense looked pretty good. Actually, in both games, they had some spurts. So I think they've got something defensively if they got that going. But the problem is, again, I still think you need to bring Russ off the bench. I think Darvin Ham, who should have, I mean, there was talk that he was going to come off the bench, Russ, but for whatever reason, you know, he acquiesced and he's got Russ now back in the starting lineup. But this team is really bad. And until they're able to find some shooters, because they're going to have plenty of opportunities to get shots. So maybe they'll become a 41% three-point shooting team by the time March comes around, because they won't have enough practice by then, because everybody's going to just give them some shots. But, you know, by that time as a team, we'll probably be about shooting 15% from the three-point line before somebody actually gets to improve their three-point percentage. This team is really bad. The Lakers are in trouble. We really are. The only bright spot is that, LeBron is going to go for Kareem's record. Man, he's going to do what he does, and that's about it. And I like the way AD is playing. I'll toss it back to you, D, on this. AD is playing good. I like his aggressiveness. I think he's playing really, really good. I think he had 2 good games so far. But again, it's going to be his health. And I do think the Lakers are going to need to get him the ball towards the end of the game. But I need him to get inside. If the Lakers would just understand the power of the paint, then they can maybe do a little bit better there. But the way this team is constructed is bad. And Rob Pelinka needs to do something, because if not, the Lakers may need to think about moving on from him if he don't get this thing turned around, at least beginning of next year, to see what this team is going to look like.
Yeah, I think Darvin Ham is all sizzle, no pop. I think he talked a good game. He was supposed to be, this bruiser, tough. Hey, listen, we're going to do what's best for the team. That's not the case. Clearly, Russ would be better served coming off the bench, where he would have the ball in his hands and that would be his version of letting Russ be Russ, right? Because he wouldn't have to defer to LeBron or AD. He could kind of, with the second unit, he could run the second unit and maximize, his skill set. But as I think at the end of the day, would you have a 6-man, a $47 million 6-man? I mean, I think as tough as the coach was talking initially, it was all fluff. It was just stuff for the camera. It was all just to get the, Laker fans excited that, we're going in a new direction and we got somebody that's, really going to make some moves and, tough, hard-nosed coaching. It is what it is. But my question to you is, where do the Lakers fall in the West? Because the West is going to be very, very tough to navigate through. I mean, we're going to look, we see who they call the cellar dwellers, the Clippers. They look very good. They got a deep bench. Kawhi's taking his time. I'm gonna come off the. Hey, I'll come off the bench. I don't need to start. Let me work my way back into kind of game shape and into playoff form. So you got Denver getting major pieces back. It's gonna be really tough for the Lakers, the way the team is currently constructed, to do anything any more than maybe the 7th seed, or they might be a play-in team again. It would be unfortunate. Hopefully, obviously LeBron passing Kareem would be, the bright spot. But the way the team is now, it's gonna be bad. I can't see where any success, because Patrick Beverley is shooting threes like he is now. He has one of the higher percentages on that team, but he's green light like he's Steph Curry, like he's coming down and just shooting. Toscano Anderson, yeah, you were on the Warriors, but what are you doing? Why are you shooting that many threes? I mean, I guess you just have to, work with what you have, but clearly they need to do something to get some shooters around LeBron, because honestly, LeBron has maybe a year or two left, at this point. I know his desire is to play with his son, but let's not waste such a momentous occasion by him being the all-time scoring leader and not even make the playoffs. At least make the playoffs, even if you get bounced in the first round, make the playoffs. So hopefully the Lakers will make some moves and get a few shooters around him, and work on their defense so that their defensive efficiency can kind of keep them in the game. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. To answer your question very briefly, we're a play-in team. We're not better than, and I'll just run through the list here very, very quick. We're not better than the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Mavericks, the Nuggets, who got Jamal Murray back, to your point there. We might be better than the Blazers. We'll see how they look. We're not better than the Clippers. We're not better than the Timberwolves. We're definitely not better than the Pelicans, who did a number to your Nets the other night. And we're not better than the Warriors.
Slide that in, right?
Slide that in, right? And we might be better than the Jazz, but hey, they won their first game too, right? So they looked actually pretty good. A team that everybody thought was going to tank this year. I think they're looking to try to scrap and fight their way in too. So we're a play-in team at best. And if we don't get that, if we're not even positioned enough to do that, then it is what everybody expected the Lakers to do. We get into the first round, to your point, then, that'll be fine. That would kind of exceed some expectation there, even if we got out the first round. But out of those teams I just mentioned, we wouldn't be able to beat any of those teams in a 7-game series. Not with the team presently constructed. So get rid of the 27 pick, 29 pick. LeBron cares less about those picks. No one cares anything about those picks. And so just go on and get rid of them, see what you can get. But then I do think there's a little bit of piece of the Lakers brass that says, if we trade those 2 picks, how much better is a Buddy Hield and a Miles Turner going to make the Lakers? Oh, is that going to take us over the top to win a championship? Probably not. And so you might be better off holding on to that. Let LeBron go ahead and get his record. He got us a chip. Although it was in a bubble, it's still a ring. And you know what? You just be glad that you at least remain somewhat relative. You figure out what life is going to look like after LeBron, and see what you're going to do with AD at some point if you're going to sign him back after his contract is up in 2 years. So, yep.
Only problem with that is you're not going to be terrible, because there are teams that are tanking. Everybody wants that 14-foot, alien. So teams are tanking. So San Antonio,
yeah, he's good. That kid, yeah.
He's awesome. So
yeah, he is.
I think they're not going to be that bad. So what are those picks really going to net them? You know what I mean? If you're kind of middle of the pack, it's not you're bad enough to get, lottery picks. So you might as well give them.
That's a good point. Yeah. I agree with
it's like, if you think that you're going to be that bad, I think LeBron's pride won't let him be like a cellar dweller. Like,
no. Yeah,
terrible.
I'm not saying
You
we're
know
gonna be where the Kings are at the end of the year, right? You know what I'm
exactly,
saying? Right.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
I agree there. Or the
if you're
Thunders, you
middle of
know.
the pack
Yeah.
anyway,
Right.
it does. You might as well, because
Right.
you give those picks away, and you have to be in the mindset to win now. How much longer are we going to really have LeBron? How much longer? Okay, after this season, you can let Westbrook go, so that frees up some money. So there is potential, but I think those picks. If you have if AD's healthy and LeBron and you add something by giving those picks away, I think it's worth it. I think the end justifies the means.
I
I
agree.
think
Yeah,
at that
ultimately it is
point,
worth it. Yeah.
very similar to what the Niners are doing. The Niners are giving away picks, and everyone's, oh man, you're mortgaging your future. But if we win now, if how'd that work out for LA last year? They gave
And
up
that
a
was my
lot,
point. Yeah, I
and
was gonna say the same thing.
you got
Yep.
a Super Bowl. So who
Yep.
cares? At the end
Yep.
of the day,
Exactly.
the fan base has grown from there. People are more excited about the team, and they understand what you did, the sacrifice
Right.
from a team standpoint to win now. I mean, because it's about now. We can say, oh, yeah, we're building and trust the process, but nobody really wants to hear that. This society now wants instant gratification. There's no such thing in sports as delayed gratification. That's out. That's an old school train of thought. Nobody wants that
Yep.
anymore. They
I
want
agree.
within 1 or 2 years. That's why they thrust quarterbacks that are good and there is no development. It's like, all right, we
No,
picked you, we're throwing you in.
we're throwing you
Now,
in.
there are very few, and those tend to be successful, those high promise quarterbacks that come in and have an opportunity to sit behind a veteran 1 or 2 years. They
Right.
tend to fare better. But
Right.
the teams don't care. They want to showcase their draft pick, their high draft pick
Right.
immediately, whether they're ready or not. So
Right. Right.
I think
Right.
they should let those picks go and really maximize now, because LeBron is in peak shape, and the window is closing. So maximize it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm on with you 100% on that one. Absolutely.
Okay, so now we're at the point where we're gonna wrap up soon, but now we got to get who's your NBA championship. Who are your picks? Who's coming from the East? Who's coming from the West? And who do you think ultimately wins it all? Right before we'll talk about my Nets, and by watching them get blown out, I am very, very excited. I'm excited by that.
Oh boy, I gotta hear
Because,
this.
yeah, I'm excited by
I
that
gotta hear
because
this.
we have potential. Unlike the Lakers, we do have potential. It's just, this team, just give us some time. We're missing players. We have 40 plus, 2 players that are 40+% from 3-point. Can you say that? Seth Curry didn't
No, I
play.
cannot.
Joe Harris did not play. Both of them are plus 40% from 3. So we got shooting
Right.
coming in the wings. So I'm excited by that. Plus acclimating Ben Simmons. It takes time for the chemistry.
I agree with that.
Kyrie had a bad
doesn't
shooting night.
excuse that blowout, but yeah, Kyrie shot very bad. Yes, he did. He did.
So we're going to see. Yeah, we got blown out. I mean, but the Pelicans are they're going to be a load, and they're going to be a problem for a lot of teams.
Oh, yeah.
Not just, if you're, let's face it, both of our big men are probably 220 pounds. That's not, you can't deal with Zion. You can't be 7 feet tall and 200 pounds and deal with Zion. It's not going to happen. So the way Zion, BI, the way they were playing, they had it. Valanciunas, they have a good team.
Yeah,
and they were
good. Good point.
CJ McCollum, they had a good team without Zion. So you bring Zion into the mix, and all of his baskets are 2 inches from the rim. Listen, they're a really good team. So they are. there's no such thing as taking a loss and feeling good about it, but overall, it was good to see Ben Simmons out there. It
I
was
agree.
good I think that they're going to work through some growing pains, but
Yeah.
the fact that he's not, sitting on the sideline with a yellow Gucci sweater or looking at the game or blinged out on the sideline trying to get his mind right, but he's actually playing. I think that's quite encouraging for me. We
No, I
took the
think I
L,
think
but
you're
that
right.
was only game one. We got 81 more.
Well, I think, look, right? I mean, we know, right, to your point, 81 more games, right? So we really we really can only pontificate about what we see in terms of 1 or 2 games and what's about to happen with these teams. And I think we got a somewhat of an idea how these teams would evolve and what they're going to eventually turn into. But you're right. I agree. I mean, you got Harris, you got Seth Curry, you guys got definitely got perimeter shooters. And so when Harris comes back, you'll get better there. My only concern with the Nets, and you're right, I like Ben Simmons there. I think he's going to make a difference because he's going to definitely bring defense and some ball management. But my only 2 concerns with the Nets, because I still think they're going to trade Kyrie. I think so. Depending upon what happens and how you guys look before the midterm trade deadlines there, I still think there's a possibility they could still end up letting him go. And there's still some speculation he can still come to the Lakers. So maybe that's why
Oh,
I'm a
God,
little
come
more.
on.
That's why I'm trying to put some emphasis on that
Of
there. I would
course.
love to see him come back. You know what I'm saying? Come back
Right.
to LeBron. Anybody but Russell Westbrook, right? But anyway, the deal is this with the Nets. I'm not confident in Steve Nash. I still don't think he's the guy that can really, schematically get this team where they need to be and put guys. It's really coaching the role players as well. All the great coaches did it. The Pops, the Phil Jacksons, they really had systems in place that got the role players involved. The other guys are going to get theirs, of course, and they coach them too, right? But at the end of the day, you got to find ways to get these other guys in position so that they can be successful. And I just don't think Steve Nash is that coach. They could say what they want, that we had kumbaya moment. We all came together. We held hands. We had prayer. We all spoke in tongues. We gave God the glory. We worshiped till the midnight hour. All that is great. But they said what they said because they meant what they said, okay? When they talked about Steve Nash and not needing a coach and the demands for the trade and all those things, really that boils down to is that they're in a situation where now they got to make it work, right? They have no choice because really there was not a market for KD, at least not for what the Nets was asking. Nets said, look, you want KD, you want Kyrie, we want your stadium, we want your children's children, your children's children's children, your grandmother, your granddad. We want everybody. And nobody was giving that up because a lot of people don't really believe KD is obviously the star. He's top 3 in the league, right? But he's not worth blowing up your whole team to get him, right? Because when he gets to that other team, there's nobody to play with because you gave up other stars and you mortgage your future away to get him. And I don't think he's that type of player to do that at this point in his career any longer. But I don't think that the Nets are going to be that team coming out the East. I would say it will be either between Boston and Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee prevails. I think we'll see them and the Clippers in the finals. And again, I still think the Bucks will prevail. When Chris Middleton comes back, they're going to be a problem, and I think that's what you're going to see there. So those are my picks there for the finals. There, I say Milwaukee and the Clippers, and then I think Milwaukee will prevail.
Okay, that's we agree on something. My picks are the Nets. Coming out of the East, I think they will play.
Wow.
You
think they're better than Boston?
Definitely. Definitely.
Wow. Okay.
Definitely. I think once the team, it's the beginning of the season. Once the team, is fully engaged and everyone is kind of connected and gets used to definitively who's going to do what, right? I think Ben Simmons is still working through it. He's still working to get acclimated playing with KD and Kyrie. They have symmetry, but it's now establishing the big 3. I think once that happens, I think that they'll bond. They'll have some chemistry because once I think that Ben Simmons needs to be the point. Kyrie needs to be the 2. You got shooters that spread out. You got KD, who's unstoppable. And I will say this about KD. He didn't have a market because, and I'm thankful he didn't have a market. He didn't have a market because of Rudy Gobert's deal. Once that happened and they gave 40 players for Rudy, you can't
That's a good point.
you can't accept anything. Oh, we're going to give you this and this for KD. I think if that Rudy Gobert trade didn't happen and they didn't give away so much for him, I think that they probably could have and would have moved on. Not, it would have been a problem because he had 4 full years left on his contract. So that would have kind of had a ripple effect amongst all of the NBA owners and players where anybody, I don't like the way you looked at me, I want out, So you can't start a bad precedence as far as that's concerned. But I do think the Nets were asking for more than reasonable considering the Rudy Gobert trade. My picks are from the East. I think in the Eastern Conference Finals, it will be the Bucks and the Nets. I think the Nets will prevail. I think it'll Nets in 6. Wow. And because let's not forget, you had James Harden was hurt. Kyrie was, they here and there, and KD almost beat them by himself. Okay. I mean, James Harden had the hamstring. He was kind of dragging the leg up and down court, and they still hung in. So
yeah, they did. It was.
I think with Ben Simmons, because if nothing else, he is 6'11" still. So yeah, nobody's gonna stop Giannis, but you can put a body on Giannis. Who knows if we're able to get any more pieces, any more size? See what's up with Andre Drummond. Try to bring him in because Andre Drummond, he wasn't bad.
I like Drummond. Yeah, I wish the Lakers would have held on to him. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if he's in Mount Vernon somewhere chilling because Andre Drummond's from Mount Vernon. He might be back in Mount Vernon on 3rd Street. Come on back, Drummond. We'll take you. Get Drummond going, and then see where we go. But I think from the West, I think it's going to be the Western Conference Finals is going to be the Warriors and the Clippers. The Clippers they're going to handle the Warriors. And I think it'll be ultimately the Clippers and the Nets. Nets prevail. That's my pick.
Wow. All right. That's interesting. That's an interesting take with the Nets getting past both Boston and Milwaukee.
Well, they won't have to. Somebody's going to. Listen.
Yeah, well, like
can Miami beat
the other? You'll end up playing.
Right? Can Miami beat? It's not like we have to go through all of them. Miami might be able to, knock off the Celtics. And this is the thing. It's also a matter of coaching.
That's the thing. Yeah, I think Celtics, that's the Achilles heel for the Nets.
Yeah,
the coaching.
Will Celtics, the interim coach, will he be able to get out of them and extract out of them what Ime could do? Who knows? That remains to be seen.
They look good. Game 1 at least.
Yeah, right. They looked really good. They looked good. But I think this, and I'm not one team I'm not worried about. I'm not worried about the 76ers. Not worried about them.
No.
Not worried about them at all.
A report came out today. Doc Rivers said something about with Embiid surgery, that his surgery has caused him to lose some conditioning because he didn't get a chance to really get his conditioning up before the season starts. So, but yeah, just a lot of excuses. No, I agree with you all the way. Philly is all smoke. That's not – Harden will never, ever, ever get any team over the top. I even know he's changed the way he's played now, and he's become a little bit more of a facilitator. He's scoring the ball still. In fact, he might be the only one that's playing the best basketball on the team right now from the way it looks. But
Maxi's pretty good too.
I like Maxey. Oh yeah, I like Maxey.
Yeah,
Maxey's really good.
He's the future. He's the future for them. But honestly, I mean, Eagles look good, but really, best thing out of Philly is Geno's. I mean, that's it. Just Geno's. That's what. That's the only thing good out of Philly.
That
Geno's.
only thing good out of Philly is Geno's. That's it.
Yeah, give me a
I
cheesesteak.
agree.
That's it. So everyone, but honestly, all jokes aside, I'm joking about it. The Eagles do look good. They look good. But those are my picks. We'll see where it goes. Um,
I see that little stab you're
we're
doing
up
there. It's
against
cool.
it, but I think we
Yeah,
can
we're up
spend
against
the
the clock.
next 5 minutes talking about if
Okay.
this is possible, or maybe we need to table this for our
I'll
next
try to keep it
meeting.
short. Yeah, we'll see. All
We
right.
want to talk about the Warriors, how good they looked.
Right.
They looked really good.
Yeah,
The
they
defending
did.
champs, they got a young players that look hungry, that are able to, take some of the pressure in the beginning of the season, the long, they're able to, in my opinion, as far as Steph, Draymond, Clay, they don't have to feel the pressure that they have to play top notch every game. You got these young players that are up and coming that, can take the pressure off of them. And then, that gives them longevity. And when it really matters, April, May, June, they're rested. They still are fresh. Steph is still fresh, and they can try to defend their title. I do think, in my opinion, and this may be popular or unpopular, I had an opportunity to watch Draymond's response to the punch. And in my opinion, he will not make it through the trade deadline. He had and showed triple zero remorse. None. So if you are planning to be with a team, now granted, the contracts that they just gave Wiggins and Poole let you know that this is Draymond's last year, no matter what.
Absolutely.
But at that time, just to, play nice and to keep the cohesiveness of the team, you could have said, you could have showed some remorse. What he did was said, honestly, I don't know anything. I didn't know the magnitude of it. Now, you knocked this dude and you knocked him out, and it made it on TV and it was everywhere. But you don't know the magnitude, and then you say, honestly, I was just, playing with my kids. That shows a lack of respect, and it was all lip service for them. Yeah, we got past it. Getting knocked out and getting knocked out is one thing, but getting knocked out on TV, you can't get past that. So I think from a standpoint, Jordan Poole got money. They paid him. They paid Wiggins. But I don't think that from a team standpoint, they'll ever be as tight-knit as they once were. And even in the ring ceremony, Draymond didn't seem like himself. He didn't have nothing to say. Usually Draymond is always, yo, we going to win. We double. We going triple up. We going three. Didn't hear a word from him, So I think these are all signs and writings on the wall that from a standpoint, he had to be at the ring ceremony. He has done so much for the Warriors, but I think his time is coming to a brief end. So I think he won't make the trade deadline. I think they're going to move on from him this year. What do you say?
I actually agree with that. You brought that point up about a week ago in one of our last episodes, and you talked about the possibility of Draymond getting traded. In fact, there's been some speculation on some other sport shows that apparently the Warriors may have been responsible with the leak of that video. We still don't know if there was any repercussions to anyone that leaked that video, and it's speculated that the Warriors may have had something to do with that in the interest of not paying Draymond. So I think they do want to move on from Draymond. This might have just been the thing that put them over the top in relationship to that. It was a very unfortunate situation. Draymond showed no remorse, which I think he did intentionally, because Draymond will do the opposite of what he thinks everybody feels he should do, because that's just Draymond's recalcitrant nature to just go against the grain. And again, look, these guys today, Draymond is a multimillionaire, right? He'll get paid eventually somewhere else. He won't see those big contracts like he's seen before, right? But he's a brand. These guys are making so much money off the court. I don't think that they feel threatened by anything anymore. I think he understands in the back of his mind that his days in Golden State are numbered. And I'll say this real quick with the Warriors. A lot of kudos to Steve Kerr, their staff, their GM, for developing the young guys while the stars are still the stars on that team. I don't think I've seen a team do that better than what they've done. I haven't seen the Spurs do that as much. Well, they have a little bit during their dynasty, but their core was still there. You could see clearly, though, that these younger guys coming up, and you got you got Moody, you got Wiseman and Kuminga. These guys are really going to be some really solid players, and I think Steph said it post-game interview after game 1 against the Lakers, how they're integrating the young and the old, and able to get these guys to understand, how to play in the system and how to develop. And these guys, you're going to see these guys playing more minutes. Same thing what they did with Jordan Poole. I mean, look at this guy. Poole, came out of nowhere and developed. And now, he's got a big, nice contract. And clearly he's going to be the future of that team. So
absolutely,
kudos to the Warriors for knowing how to, blend these guys and develop while their top 3 players are still playing at a high level. So, yeah, kudos to those guys. Yeah, good job. So, yeah, I see them doing well. I think the Clippers may prevail, but I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors do repeat again. I would not be surprised.
Okay. Well, I think we'll end it there. We'll just say a prayer. We'll say a prayer for the Yankees. Come on, Yankees. Come on.
Yeah, please, man.
I mean, if they can get past Houston, I think they can go all the way. Houston is their Achilles heel. I'm telling you, they just have their number.
Well, you can't beat cheaters, right? It's hard to beat cheaters.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're grabbing your shirt because you got every pitch call and you got to tuck your head, nobody touch me.
Exactly.
You can't really beat. It's tough.
It's hard to overcome that. Yeah, it's hard.
But
it's hard.
They have a good team. They also have a good team.
No, they do. They do. I hate them. I so hate them, but they do.
Yeah,
they really do have a good team.
We'll just
crazy.
We'll say a little prayer for them that they by our next next show that they actually showed some New York grit and
some New York grit. Yeah, by the time we
need it.
Hopefully
we need it. I don't want after Judge this. Come on, Judge. Come on.
Judge got to his bat's got to wake up, man. His
bat's
got to wake up. He's struggling here in the playoffs, man. Yeah, he's struggling.
Cole's going to do his thing.
Well,
Cole's going to earn that money.
He's going to earn that money.
He's going to earn that money. We're going to get back into it.
Yeah, we'll get back into the series.
But it was once again a pleasure.
Always
good talking with you, man. Please, everyone, like and share. We appreciate it.
That's it.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
And we will see you next time.